Breckenridge, Keystone, and Arapahoe Basin. Which one is the best for you? In a second, we'll go over some of the factors that you may want to consider. Let's first take a quick look at what it's like to skiboard each of them. One similarity between the three resorts is that they're each about 2 hours from Denver International Airport. When we came, it was more like 3 hours because there was a snowstorm, so it can get slower. We heard that people who came Saturday morning from Denver had about a 4-hour drive. So either way, it's going to take you about the same amount of time to get to any of these resorts because they're all right in the same spot. So there's no real difference there. What's the best way to illustrate this? We're at Keystone right now, and Breckenridge is right there. To emphasize it one more time, we're here at Arapahoe Basin right now. Right over there, you see Keystone, and you can see Breckenridge off in the distance. So they're all really close together. The main thing is getting out here from Denver, hopefully in 2 hours or less. Let's talk mountain stats. Breckenridge has a vertical drop of 1,035 meters, which is the largest drop among the three. For skiable acres, Breckenridge has 2,908. Keystone has a 953 meter vertical drop and 3,148 skiable acres, which is more skiable acres than Breckenridge. But when you look at the trail map, it doesn't really look that way. And I gotta tell you, when we get here and you ski the mountain, it doesn't seem that way either. What may be behind this is that what's going into the skiable acreage calculation for Keystone is a lot of terrain that's up above the tree line that's only accessible by hiking or by a cat. So it's not really available to most people because the cat only runs once every 25 minutes, at least when we're here. Or you gotta hike. There are also a lot of black slopes that are in the trees. But that's not necessarily something that a lot of people want to do. If you're a beginner, there's probably more terrain for you at Breckenridge, and the same thing is true of intermediates. It seems like there's a lot more at Breckenridge. And if you're an advanced skier, while the overall skiable acreage of Keystone may be more, you have to remember about that hiking. If you don't want to hike, you're probably better off at Breckenridge. All right, mountain stats for Arapahoe Basin. 771 meter vertical drop and 1,428 skiable acres. Skiable acreage wise is not as big as Keystone. Majority of it seems to be for expert or intermediate skiers. I thought there wouldn't be that much blue, but surprisingly there is. They do a very good job of grooming runs. So when you go up a lift, you have several options. Some of the blue runs might be a little bit steeper than you typically would expect, but they also level out. For experts, you have tons of options. Bump runs, tree runs, you can hike and go down chutes. It's really a paradise, I think, for expert skiers. And you also notice that among the crowd. They seem to be more diehard, less glitz and glam, people who are just here to ski. One of the cool options for experts here at Arapahoe Basin is to hike along this area right here. There are plenty of really cool chutes. A little sketchy maybe for some people, but it's definitely something that you can't find, at least that I can see, at Keystone or Breckenridge. Breckenridge does have some nice open above the tree line skiing, but it just doesn't look like this. It almost looks like kind of European. Parking at Breckenridge for me is a bit of a negative. It's all pay parking, and there's only one lot right here, the Beaver Run parking lot, that is right by the slopes. It costs $35, and you have to get here very early in the morning to be able to get a spot. We arrived at 7:50 this morning, and that's when the lot closed. The other lots are more remote. Yesterday, we had to park at the South Gondola lot, which requires you to take a gondola for about 10 to 15 minutes up the mountain to the base. It's a little bit cheaper, $20, but it's still kind of a pain at the end of the day to have to take a gondola down to your car, or at the beginning of the day to take a gondola up to the base. So unless you have ski in, ski out accommodations, that's a bit of a negative for Breckenridge. Keystone parking is a step up from Breckenridge because it has a mix of paid and free lots. If you go ahead and do the free parking, it is a bit of a walk from the gondola, so they have a shuttle that you can take. These are all the people at the end of the day lining up to take it back. One of the Keystone pay lots is called Hunky Dory. It is right by the gondola, so even though $45. We're showing out the cash just because it's so much easier to walk here at the end of the day, 2 steps and you're at your car, as opposed to the long walk to go to the free lot. Parking at A-Basin, top in my opinion. Why? Because it's pretty much all free and you get to pull up right to the lift. Right down there, you can see, not even full because we're on a Wednesday. The early riser lot, which would imply that you have to get up really early. We got there today and got basically front row parking at about 9 a.m. Normally to get that type of space you have to arrive at 8. A-Basin definitely has a better parking situation than Breckenridge and Keystone. Just to drive the point home, let's ski to our car at A-Basin. Which resort has the best deal for lessons? Well, in our experience, is Breckenridge. I actually thought that Breckenridge would be the most expensive because to me, it seemed to have the biggest name of the 3. However, it turned out to be the cheapest. We came with a friend who is snowboarding for the first time. He wanted adult lessons for 2 days. Checking all the websites, Breckenridge turned out to be the best deal. Arapahoe Basin was a lot more expensive and really only had half-day options available. After the first day of lessons, he did so well that his instructor said, you don't really need a second full day of lessons. So they gave a full refund, which is pretty awesome. Let's talk about lunch options. I will do a comparison of a burger from each resort. The food options at Breckenridge are actually pretty good. At the bases of the mountain, you have all sorts of grills, taverns, restaurants to explore indoors and outdoors. Up on the mountain, there are a lot of different types of restaurants, including this, the 10 Mile Station. Over on the Pioneer side of the mountain, you have a restaurant there, a lot to choose from. Now for the Breckenridge burger. I'm getting from 10 Mile Station, which is up on the mountain. This is what it looks like, and let's see how it tastes. The bun is pretty hard. Doesn't look that juicy, but at least the cheese is melted. The meat has some flavor. It's a little dry. The bun is okay once you get through it. Almost has a bit of a fishy taste to it. I think I usually expect more from a burger at a ski resort. We'll see how Arapahoe Basin and Keystone's burgers measure up. Our Keystone food. It's actually just like Breckenridge. There are options down at the base. There are other restaurants up on the mountain at various points, so it's very convenient to find a place to eat. Burger to burger, Keystone burger. We're eating at the Outpost, plain burger. You may criticize my choice of not having any toppings, but at least it shows that you can't hide. The burger is bad. This is pure burger. It actually looks very similar to the one from Breckenridge. It might make sense that they're exactly the same because they're both Epic Pass resorts. Let's see how it tastes. It is dry, just like the one from Breckenridge, but it doesn't have that taste that Breckenridge did. It was like a little bit kind of like spicy, fishy taste. It wasn't a bad fishy taste. This is more just like a regular burger. The cheese flavor is really there. So ultimately, this burger is better than the one at Breckenridge. Is this something to write home about? I don't know. One final point is in finishing the burger. There is a lot of charcoal, char grill flavor on it, so it actually, I think, is significantly better than Breckenridge. Still, for $20 for a meal, you'd expect better. Arapahoe Basin, Black Mountain Lodge. This already looks like it's the champion. Freshly cooked, thick meat. They did it while I waited. Smells good. Bun seems much better. Better yet, the price was $18, which is the same amount I paid yesterday at Keystone for a average cheeseburger and a water. You get all this for that here at Arapahoe Basin. Let's taste it. First bite, I could tell already it was so much better than the others. I don't know if it's an Icon versus Epic thing. Freshly cooked burger, Icon Resort. I don't even need to have more than one bite. Delicious. Champion. All right, post-burger synopsis. It was so good, I had to come back and say this. It was filling, totally delicious, exactly what you expect when you're out skiing and you're gonna get a burger. Just hit the spot. The amount of food I got for the price of just one burger and water at Keystone yesterday is insane. It's basically twice the amount of food, and it's all much better. I'm not being paid by Arapahoe Basin to say this. Okay, so the random black slope that we're gonna try at Breckenridge is Centennial. This area is a little bit colder than the rest of the mountain, and a little bit icier. You can already hear it. It's been groomed occasionally, so there's not many bumps on it, despite being one of the black slopes over here. Right now you got a good mix of some soft powder right on top of the ice. So you just gotta kind of take it easy. See a lot of intermediates trying it, so it could be a black slope that's great for advanced intermediates who want to start learning how to take on blacks. You get a great view from this slope of the mountains on the opposite side of the valley. And it is a nice kind of long run. So this is a nice fun slope. The random blue slope that I'm going to choose for Keystone is called Elk Run. It's perfect for people who are skiing with more than one person, an intermediate with an expert, or an intermediate who wants a groom slope, and another person who wants to try and practice some bumps. Because up here at the top, it's nice and groomed, but once you get down a little bit towards the bottom of the slope, you start to get into an area where off to the right, there are some bumps, and pretty well defined bumps. I'm not sure it's like that all times of the year, but right now they're letting the right side of the slope develop some bumps. So let's go over there and take a look right now. So right on the left, you've got some groom, and right over here, you've got some bumps. So one person can come in and take the bumps on while the other person comes over and does the nice groom foot part. So perfect. So it's a little icy right there. But again, your friend or you who wants to get a little bit of bump action can come on over to the right, and boom, you got some bumps. And some of them are nice because it's a very low grade. So you want to practice bumps without being on a really steep slope, it's perfect. At A-Basin, I'm choosing Columbine. Why? Well, right now, because it's sunny, it's the morning, and it's in the sun, as opposed to the rest of the mountain, which is in the shade, and because there's a lot of variation in it. So when you start out here, you see it's pretty narrow, relatively steep for a blue slope, a little bit challenging for some people to start out like that. Then suddenly it opens up wide, flattens out a little bit. It's nicer and wider, so you can make some nice big turns. Then it narrows up again. A lot of different variation. Then suddenly opening up, steepening again. You can make some nice long turns. And come up a little bit. And around, a nice gentle right turn. A little bit of the shade. And then suddenly, guess what? Surprise, another drop. Steepening and narrowing. And that's pretty much it. It's a nice flat, straight shot to the lift. Totally appropriate, sitting on a lift, to talk about lift lines. We started out at Breckenridge and it was MLK weekend. You could expect that the lines are going to be longer than normal, particularly at the bottom. One morning we waited about 40 minutes just to get on one lift, but that wasn't true all throughout Breckenridge. Once you got to the top, there were some places where there wasn't much of a line. We found out later that what exacerbated the lines at Breckenridge was that Keystone and Vail had blackout periods. So Epic Pass holders who couldn't ski there went to Breckenridge, making it even more crowded. Keystone, on the other hand, had lines that were a lot more manageable, but again, to be fair, we were there on Monday of MLK weekend and Tuesday. Tuesday is not particularly a busy day, and it proved to be true. It's no longer MLK weekend, and the gondola line at Keystone is basically non-existent at 9 a.m. Arapahoe Basin, perfection. We hadn't waited in a single line in 2 days. Again, it's a Wednesday and a Thursday, but very easily you just skied right into the lift every single time. One bad thing about Keystone, that some terrain is only accessible by cat, may also be one of the good things about Keystone, that you can take a cat ride. So a lot of the expert terrain at Keystone is only accessible via cat. That's what we're going to do. You pick up the cat at the outpost right behind the restaurant, and it runs like maybe about once every 25 minutes, $10 per person, paid by credit card. So we'll see how it goes. you're an intermediate, we're over in the Beaver part of the mountain. If you take the slope called Loafer, be careful, because it basically is a black. They know this. They put signs at the beginning of Loafer and Davis telling you that it's the most difficult blue slopes on the mountain, but they're basically black slopes. So if you are an intermediate who is truly an intermediate and don't want to face a black slope yet, avoid those two slopes. So hopefully those factors give you a basis to make a decision that's right for you. But overall, broad brushstrokes, I think if you want something that's kind of got like the glam, Aspen-like, more like Vail, the closest to that is Breckenridge. A lot of restaurants, a lot on the mountain, off the mountain. It's probably got the biggest town, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of slopeside accommodations, but what comes with that is expense. If you want a little bit more low-key, there's accommodations, there's also, similar type restaurants, accommodations at the base, other things to do, very family-oriented, Keystone. And if you're more of a diehard, don't care about the frills, there is no town at the base, just go up there, get your stuff done, have some delicious food, by the way. A-Basin is for you.
Chasing the beams. What you do, don't let go. Chasing the beams.